This is part 2 of the previous one, named When the Dead Fall in Love. The storm raged through the night. Thunder rolled over the hills like something enormous dragging chains across the sky. Inside the mansion, the air felt heavier than before, almost alive. Elena couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt the same sensation. Someone watching. She sat up in the bed. Lucien. The word barely left her lips before the curtains moved. And he appeared, standing beside the window like he had been there the whole time. You called? Elena sighed. You really were watching me sleep. Lucien looked confused. Is that wrong? Yes. He studied her expression carefully. I am still learning how the living think. Well, rule number 1, Elena said, don't stare at someone while they sleep. Lucien nodded thoughtfully. I will stand farther away next time. That's not what I meant. For a moment there was silence. Then Lucien said quietly, I cannot stop looking at you. Elena's stomach tightened. That's exactly the problem. Lucien walked closer. His form flickered faintly, as if struggling to stay solid. You brought something back to his house, he said. What? Feeling. He placed a hand against his chest. I had forgotten how this felt. Elena noticed something strange. His hand was almost solid. You're changing, she said. Lucien frowned. What do you mean? Your hands, I can almost see skin. Lucien stared at them. The faint outline of veins appeared beneath the pale glow. Interesting, he murmured. Upstairs, chains rattled softly. Adrian sat against the wall, listening. Through the cracked floorboards, he could hear their voices. He smiled slowly. Perfect. He whispered to himself. The ghost gets stronger when she's near him. He leaned forward in the dark. That means he can die. Adrian stood and tested the chains. They pulled tight. But he wasn't worried. He had noticed something else earlier. In the hallway, a hidden door in the floor, leading down to the basement. And every old haunted mansion had the same thing in the basement. Secrets. Back downstairs, Elena stood in the hallway with Lucien. You shouldn't stay so close to me, she said quietly. Why? Because it's making things worse. For who? For you. Lucien tilted his head. I do not understand. Elena hesitated. Then slowly, she reached out. Her fingers brushed his hand. For the first time, they touched. Lucien froze. His eyes widened in shock. Her hand didn't pass through him. Instead, it rested against something cold but solid. Lucien's voice became a whisper. I can feel you. Elena quickly pulled back. Lucien stared at his hand like it was a miracle. I have not felt anything in 200 years. His gaze slowly lifted to her. Elena. The hunger in his eyes deepened, not violent, but desperate. I need you to stay. Her chest tightened. This is exactly why I can't. Later that night, Elena explored the hallway alone. She needed air, space, anything to escape Lucien's constant presence. She walked toward a staircase leading downward, the basement door. It creaked open slowly. a terrible smell rose from below. Damp earth, old wood, and something metallic. She grabbed a candle and stepped down the stairs. The basement was enormous. Stone walls, ancient shelves, and in the center of the room, a disturbed patch of dirt. Elena knelt beside it. Her heart pounded. "Is this—" A voice answered behind her. "Yes." She jumped. Lucien stood at the bottom of the stairs. "My grave." The candlelight flickered across the dirt mound. "You were buried here?" she whispered. "Yes." Elena stared at the soil. "If your body is here, that means removing it could free me," Lucien finished. Her eyes widened. "Then you could leave this house?" Lucien didn't respond. Instead, he asked quietly, "And go where?" "The world." Lucien looked at her with painful intensity. "And if I leave, will you still stay?" Elena didn't answer. The silence was enough. Lucien stepped back slowly. "Then perhaps I prefer the prison." Suddenly, a loud metallic crack echoed upstairs. Both of them froze. The chains, broken. Footsteps thundered down the staircase. Adrian appeared in the doorway. But something was different. He was holding a rusted knife and an old leather book. His smile was wider than before. "I found something interesting in your basement library," he said. Lucien's voice became dangerously low. "Put it down." Adrian ignored him. He opened the book and read aloud. "When the bones of the restless are bound to the earth, the spirit may be destroyed by blood upon the grave." Elena's blood ran cold. "You are insane," she whispered. Adrian stepped closer to the dirt mound. "Maybe." He raised the knife. "But if I kill the ghost," his eyes flicked toward Elena, "you'll have no one left to protect you." Lucien moved instantly. The entire basement shook violently. Stone cracked. Shelves collapsed. Adrian staggered but laughed. "You can't stop me forever." The knife hovered above the grave. Lucien roared, "Don't!" But Elena moved first. She ran forward and grabbed Adrian's arm. "Stop!" The knife slipped from his hand. It hit the floor with a loud clang. For a moment, all three stood frozen. Then Adrian leaned close to Elena's ear and whispered, "You don't understand." His eyes flicked toward Lucien. "If he becomes human, he won't let you leave either." Elena slowly turned toward the ghost. Lucien stood motionless in the shadows, watching her, possessively. And for the first time, Elena wondered something terrifying. Maybe Adrian was right. Maybe the ghost in love was far more dangerous than the man who kidnapped her. The basement felt colder after Adrian's whisper. Elena slowly stepped away from him. Her mind was racing. Two men, both obsessed, both dangerous. And the mansion itself felt like it was closing around her, like a cage. She realized something terrifying. If she didn't escape soon, she might never leave. Later that night, the house fell silent again. Adrian had been locked in another room upstairs. Lucien stood in the grand hall, staring at the broken chandelier, lost in thought. Elena watched him from the staircase. For a moment, he looked peaceful, almost human, but that only made things worse, because she could see it clearly now. The more time she spent near him, the more solid he became. If she stayed here long enough, Lucien might truly become alive again, and if that happened, he would never let her go. Her heart pounded. "I'm sorry," she whispered to herself. Then she began moving quietly through the hallway. Elena remembered the basement. Lucian's body was buried there, and he had said something important. Removing it could free him from the house. If Lucian was no longer tied to the mansion, the supernatural locks might disappear. She grabbed a lantern and a rusted shovel from the storage room. The basement stairs creaked under her weight. Every step felt louder than thunder. She reached the dirt mound, Lucian's grave. Her hands trembled as she pushed the shovel into the soil. Thunk. The sound echoed. She froze. No footsteps upstairs. No ghost appearing. Good. She kept digging. Dirt piled around her feet. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Her arms burned with exhaustion. Finally, the shovel struck something hard. Wood. Her heart stopped. She uncovered the top of a coffin. God! Her hands shook as she brushed away the dirt. Lucian, I hope this works. The basement suddenly became freezing. The lantern flickered violently. Elena slowly turned. Lucian stood behind her, his eyes glowing brighter than ever. You are digging my grave. Her breath caught. His voice was not angry, just hurt. Why? Elena swallowed. Because I have to leave. Lucian stared at the coffin. You want to free me? Yes. Not out of kindness. Elena's voice trembled. Out of survival. The word struck him like a blade. Lucian's form flickered violently. So you fear me that much? You're keeping me prisoner. I am protecting you. From a world I choose to live in. Silence filled the basement. Lucian stepped closer to the coffin. If you open this, he said quietly, everything changes. Good. You may regret it. Elena wiped dirt from her face. I already regret coming here. With shaking hands, she pried open the old wooden lid. The wood cracked loudly. Dust rose into the air. Slowly, the coffin opened. Inside lay a skeleton dressed in decayed aristocratic clothing. The remains of Lucian Vale. Elena stared at it in horror. Lucian looked down at his own bones. For the first time in 200 years. So that is what remains of me. His voice sounded strangely distant. Elena looked up. What happens now? Lucian didn't answer. Instead, the entire mansion shook violently. Walls groaned. Windows shattered upstairs. The lantern exploded. Darkness swallowed the basement. Lucian suddenly grabbed Elena's arm. This time, his grip felt completely solid. Elena. His voice sounded different now. Alive. Stay close. The ground cracked beneath the coffin. Dust rained from the ceiling. From upstairs came a familiar voice shouting, Well, this just got interesting. Adrian. He appeared at the top of the stairs holding a flashlight. His eyes widened when he saw Lucian. Wow, he laughed. You look a lot less dead now. Lucian turned slowly toward him, his body now half solid. Half ghost. You should have left. Adrian stepped down the stairs confidently. Oh no, he grinned. I think things are finally getting good. Elena looked between them in horror. Lucien was becoming human. Adrian was still insane. And the mansion itself was collapsing around them. She whispered to herself, "What have I done?" And somewhere deep beneath the basement floor, something ancient shifted in the darkness. Something that had been sleeping far longer than Lucien. And Elena had just opened the door. Lucien's POV. I had forgotten what it felt like to breathe. For 2 centuries, I had existed as wind and memory. Thin, distant, untouchable. But now something strange was happening inside me. My chest moved. Air filled my lungs. It burned. I looked down at my hands. They were no longer made of mist alone. Pale skin stretched across bone, faint and ghostly, but real enough to feel the cold basement air. And the warmth of her. Elena's arm was still in my grasp. Her pulse beat quickly under my fingers. Alive. So painfully alive. I had dreamed of this sensation for 200 years. And yet, the first thing she did when she touched my hand was pull away. Fear filled her eyes. Not wonder. Not relief. Fear. It felt worse than the poison that killed me. The basement trembled around us, dust falling from the ceiling. At the top of the stairs stood Adrian Kella, smiling like a man watching a play. "I knew it," he said. "You're becoming human." His voice grated against my mind like rusted iron. I stepped in front of Elena instinctively. Even now, part ghost and part flesh, the mansion still obeyed me. The walls groaned. The air thickened. "You should not have come back," I told him. Adrian shrugged. "Oh, I think I should have." He pointed his flashlight at my chest. "You're weaker now." I frowned. "Weaker?" "Yeah," he said with a grin. "Ghosts are hard to kill." He raised the rusted knife again. "But humans?" My body reacted before my mind could. I moved. In a blink, I crossed the basement. My hand closed around his throat and slammed him into the stone wall. The impact echoed like thunder. His feet lifted off the floor. "You mistake my change for weakness," I said quietly. Adrian gasped for air, but still managed a crooked smile. "Maybe." Then he whispered something that made my grip tighten. "But she's still afraid of you." I looked over my shoulder. Elena stood near the open coffin, her face pale, her hands trembling, her eyes locked on me like I was the monster in the room. My chest tightened in a way I didn't understand. Pain, real pain. Not the distant emotional echo I had felt for centuries. This was sharp, human. I released Adrian and stepped back. He collapsed to the floor, coughing. "Elena," I said softly. She didn't move, didn't step closer, didn't speak, only watched me carefully, like a prisoner studying her guard. My voice came out rougher than before. "You freed me." "I freed myself," she replied quietly. The words cut deeper than they should have. I looked down at the skeleton in the coffin, the remains of the man I once was. 200 years, I murmured. My world ended in this room. Adrian laughed weakly from the floor. "Yeah, tragic story." He slowly stood again. "But here's the thing, Lucian." He pointed at Elena. She doesn't belong to you. My gaze snapped toward him. Neither did my wife. The basement fell silent. Memories flooded my mind. Her smile, her lies, the poison burning my throat. The darkness closing around me as they buried me under my own house. My hands trembled, and suddenly I realized something terrifying. I was no longer only a ghost filled with memory. I was a man again, and men could lose everything. Again. I turned toward Elena. I never wanted to cage you. She crossed her arms. You locked every door. I was afraid. The confession tasted strange. I thought if you left, the silence would return. And now? She asked. I looked at my half-solid hands, my beating heart, the open grave behind her. I don't know what I am anymore. Adrian wiped blood from his mouth and chuckled. Oh, I know what you are. We both looked at him.
He pointed between us. You're two obsessed idiots fighting over the same woman. Elena snapped. I'm not an object. Adrian shrugged. Tell that to him. The accusation hung in the air. I slowly stepped back from Elena. The mansion groaned above us like something restless, and deep below the basement floor, something moved. I felt it instantly, a cold presence older than my own haunting, older than the house, older than the grave. My voice dropped to a whisper. We need to leave. Elena frowned. Why? Before I could answer, the stone floor cracked open beneath the coffin. Black air rushed upward like a breath from the earth itself, and a voice rose from the darkness below. Low, ancient, hungry. After 200 years. The ground trembled. The door is finally open. My blood ran cold because I realized something horrible. Elena had not only freed me, she had freed something else. Like and subscribe for more. And those who already subscribed, thank you so much.